honestly, like the first thing that comes to my mind is just, my sisters and, the way that they're treated. And it makes me, just think about the times maybe, where I didn't do things that were right, that I could have maybe done a little better. Like just small things. That's what makes me
think of the Me Too movement. I think of all of the attention that it has gained, especially within the last year. Think of a lot of social media efforts to kind of make sexual assault, sexual harassment more, prevalent, for people to share their stories and support one another and just kind of open up the eyes of the public to things that were traditionally just not so much spoken about.
When I hear about Me Too, I have, depending on the medium that I'm hearing it from, I can have conflicting thoughts on it. Like, sometimes it affects my perspective by making me realize how different things are for women in some situations, and things that they go through that I can't understand, because as a guy, I don't ever feel threatened by someone doing these things. I don't ever feel, I'm never fearful in those situations, and it's hard for me to understand what that's like. But then other times with Me Too, I don't like the blurring of the line between harassment and assault, and I think that needs to be made clear by some people that those are not the same thing, because I do think that can hurt the movement. So I think that there's overall positive to bring light to it, but there's also there's some negatives that's been come along with it by people using it for what I don't in a bad way, I'd say.
It's a great platform for women, female, even male, whoever's been sexually assaulted, to speak out and perhaps gain a little bit of healing by speaking out. However, I too think that some people take it too far, and they're using it maybe in the wrong way. So I agree. I think it should be, it is a serious matter, and I don't think, I don't know, somebody going on and saying, oh, well, 12 years ago I was smacked on my rear end, and then carry on a big thing when, I don't know, perhaps it is a big thing, but I think it's just going too far sometimes.
Positive aspect of it, like they were saying, it opens up the range of sexual assault. So like before, if you hear it on TV or you read about it, whatever, it's always like, you think like the worst things, like sexual assault, like you think of rape. But now that kind of opens up like the full-on spectrum to where you can see that it was like, it can be, sexual harassment or molestation or whatever, and then how it's used in like an abuse of power, right? So for subordinates. But then again, I want to keep saying the same thing, but I think it's got way too popular via social media, and I think a lot of people are trying to come up with something that happened 35 years ago so they can be popular on social media again, which I think just degrades the people who are seriously emotionally hurt by it, or even like to the highest other side of the spectrum where it takes away from the cases that should be looked at more.
That was just resonated with me for the Me Too movement has to do with like the larger cases, specifically like the Larry Nassar case. He was the doctor that treated the gymnast, and as that unraveled, and it was like more and more girls, and it was not just one institution, but you had University of Michigan, you had the Olympic Committee, you had USA Gymnastics. I mean, it was shocking how, it was shocking the amount of victims and how unresponsive these agencies and institutions are, especially for girls that were at the time underage or very young adults. And so there's that, I guess, has been really eye-opening for me from a systemic piece, and looking at sexual assault and sexual trauma, not just from a specific incident, but from what are some of our systems that allow things like this to not just happen once,